Hello and welcome to Word Mentality on Grammar and Thongs, where we look at the origin of words or their etymology. Today we've got a bit of an ANZAC Day theme, so we're going to look at the words ANZAC, digger and cobber, all good Aussie words, or are they? Let's have a look. First of all, we've got the word ANZAC, which is obviously an acronym. The letters in ANZAC stand for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. And this has been around since just before Gallipoli, so 1915, when New Zealand and Australian troops were gathered in Egypt, where they were waiting to go to Gallipoli. So the first written example of it actually was abbreviated like this. That's my version of an ampersand. It was A and NZ Army Corps, and it was a fairly obvious step for that to be shortened to ANZAC, and it was easy to say. So ANZAC we've had ever since. The word digger also comes from Gallipoli, or at least that's the story that a lot of Australians believe. They earned the name in Gallipoli, where they had to dig trenches in as they tried to get up those cliffs and deal with that very difficult landscape on the beaches of Turkey. But there is a suggestion from New Zealand historians that digger actually wasn't around in 1915. It didn't come to be a term until the year after 1916, and actually over on the Western Front in France in the Somme. And it was a name for New Zealand soldiers and their engineers, particularly their Maori engineers, who were renowned as very good diggers. And they used to dig those all-important communication trenches going up to the front of the battlefield. And so this is a term for New Zealand soldiers initially, and it wasn't actually until 1917 that the term was sort of adopted by the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. And so that was New Zealand and Australian soldiers, and then eventually it became attached to the Australian soldiers, and now we think of diggers as Australian soldiers. But what about the word cobber? Surely that's true dinky-die Aussie in its etymology. Well, no, it's actually probably Yiddish. So there's a Yiddish word, chaber, which means comrade or friend, and it might seem strange that we get one of our words from a Yiddish origin, but there was a big Jewish population in the East End of London, and so the word sort of entered London slang from there, and then it was brought over by migrants to Australia. There is a suggestion that it actually comes from a Suffolk word, cob, which means to take a liking to someone, but there's only one source for that, and most experts agree that it's more likely to come from this Yiddish origin. So there you go. Cobber was originally Yiddish. Digger may have originally been a New Zealand term or term for New Zealand soldiers, but really on ANZAC Day, we talk about ANZAC Day in Australia, and that means Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, so I think it's quite nice that we've got that shared heritage. Thank you.